Anybody in here know anything about batteries? The clock is only 3 hours off. And I don't, it may have a winder on it, but I don't see it. It probably does. Yeah, we need to call Brooks. Yeah. Okay. All right, we're going to set the calendar for Wednesday, day 18 today, time we get finished. I'm going to ask Chairman Green, would you lead us in prayer, please? Push your button so I can turn you on.
Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, as we begin another day in thy service, let us be mindful of our responsibilities and duties to the citizens of the state of Georgia. And Father, be with us and guide us and direct us as we give you the honor and the glory that is due you. Father, bless those that are not here today. Bless those that are ill. Bless those that are serving us far away. Bless their families. And Lord, just go with us now during this week. Bless us, blessing each and every one of us in thy holy name. Amen.
Thank you, sir. All right, Miss Lewis. Miss Lewis, is Mr. Gullett here? And would you let him come in so he can present House Bill 130? Thank you, sir. You got 1 minute, and this is your only chance, so better make it right. Hold on. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Rules Committee. Bring to you House Bill 130, LC 470680. The bill authorizes the permitting of battery-powered alarm security fences as a burglar alarm. It streamlines the process for permitting and registration in accordance to local laws to allow businesses to protect their assets and property in a timely manner. We passed this in the House last year, but due to COVID, the Senate didn't take it up last year. Bringing it in again to this year, it's a little bit different. GMA and ACCG, we've worked with them to make them better with the bill, so they're good with the bill this year.
Okay, any questions? Seeing none, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Representative Parsons. Okay, you got a microphone back there. What? Push your button. No. All right, we got the wire. Try it now.
Okay. Now, this is the same bill that passed overwhelmingly last year. Worked on it for a couple of years. I think a lot of parties have given some input, made it a much better and more reasonable approach to handling this issue.
Yes, I agree with that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. See no more questions. Thank you. Mr. Chairman Parsons. Chairman Parsons. No. Stop. Go back to the.
Mr. Chairman, am I recognized?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and ladies and gentlemen of the committee. I have two bills. I don't know if both of them are on the list or not, but 156, I know I was received notification to come with that. 156 is a bill that we've been working on for going on 2 years, and this has to do with cybersecurity, reporting of cybersecurity to the State Emergency Management and Homeland Security. This started, like I said, almost 2 years ago when GMA approached me wanting to know if there was some way or what would be the proper way for them to get help from the state when they had a breach or an attack on one of their cities, even one of their agencies like a sheriff's department, especially when they're demanding ransom. And I started looking into it, and I told them I would try to find out. This 156 is a result of that. And what it does, it sets up a reporting process for what is defined in here as agencies. And that would be any agency in the state, any agency at the state or at the county or city level, including their sheriff's departments and any agency of the counties or cities. Sets up a process for them to report these attacks and breaches to the State Emergency Management and Homeland Security, or to the director thereof. And it also sets up a process, just a very small difference in reporting of utilities to the same director. And it also makes an exception if a city is operating in the capacity. When they're operating in the capacity of a utility, they would report as a utility and not as a state or an agency as defined in here. And that sets up that process. It sets up it sets up that the director of the Department of Emergency Services and Homeland Security would promulgate rules and regulations. But it also says that within 2 hours of them reporting, whether it's a utility or an agency, reporting to the federal government of a breach or attack that's defined in the bill here, within 2 hours they would have to report that to the state emergency services and Homeland Security. And then it also sets up that it would actually exclude from the list of things that are open, that are available to public inspection, proceedings of meetings that are excluded from the list of proceedings that are exempt from public review. They would also add a meeting where these things are discussed, except, and they would exclude them. But if there is if in that meeting a contract is discussed, that contract would not become valid until a subsequent meeting is held that is public, that would be open to public review, unless the name of the contractor or something like that would actually be of some kind of an issue with cybersecurity. And that's pretty much it. The records, meetings, and everything from these proceedings would also be excluded from public review, public inspection. And I'd be glad to try to explain further if you'd like. But
Okay, any questions from anybody? Now, that was 156, right?
That's 156, yes, sir.
Okay, your other bill is not on the consideration calendar. You have to wait till next time if you don't mind. So no questions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Need Mr. Petrea out there. And Representative, floor is yours.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for the opportunity. I bring to you today House Bill 168. And this is a bill, Mr. Chairman, that we passed last year in this committee, and it passed the House, the floor of the House, went to the Senate and died because of the COVID delay. And so I'm bringing you this bill again. This bill is very important to my community as it relates to crime. And here's what this bill does. This bill declassifies 4 district attorneys, the chief law enforcement officers in our community, the correctional record of inmates who have committed very violent crimes only. So those crimes that are the 7 deadly sins, those crimes that are specifically noted in the bill as dangerous sexual offenses, the most heinous crimes only, it basically would remove from a state secret status the inmate's record for our district attorneys. So why is this important? Our district attorneys have a right today to file a written objection to an individual that has committed a crime in their community and is being considered for parole. The problem is, unless that information is declassified by the commissioner, unless he chooses to declassify it, it is not readily available. Most of our citizens are unaware that this information is a state secret. I want to remove that as it relates expressly to DAs, expressly for these crimes. And so when an individual who has committed a heinous crime in our community, when a jury of his peers has convicted him of a sentence, and when the parole board is considering truncating that sentence and allowing that individual to return early, it allows our district attorneys to see that information about how that inmate is behaving in prison. Because I think all of us recognize that how you behave today, how you behaved in the last year or two, is a pretty good indicator of how you might behave going forward. And so it allows our district attorneys something that they want. The district attorney is very supportive of this bill so that they can be fully informed about when violent felons are returning to our community. Okay. And I'll stand for any questions.
Anyone have any questions? Seeing none, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Representative Corbett.
Appreciate that.
Mr. Corbett, this floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Blue sheet, 7 down from top, 169, House Bill 169. This is Department of Driver Services bill. Line 18 has been added. This is to the requirement to be able to receive a commercial driver's license, a CDL. This gets us in compliance with a federal law that after June of 22, if we do not adopt this, they will not recognize Georgia's CDL license. Then the second part of the bill deals with a driver's instruction permit. The old system, you could get it for 180 days. It's like a learner's permit for 180 days, then you could renew it one time for 180 days. This just changes it to 365 days, just makes it a little more efficient where you don't have to come back to renew it that one time. That's basically all we're doing with House Bill 169.
Okay, hold on one second. Got a question.
Chairman Corbett, who is going to be administering this course, this training course?
And talking to DDS, this will be somebody, a third party that contracts with, that's approved by the federal government to teach this course. It would come through a federal approved third party.
And a further question,
go ahead.
Do we have any idea of the cost, what that course will cost our?
I do not, and the hours will vary. It depends on what endorsement you're getting. If you're getting a pastor endorsement, it's so much. If you hazmat endorsement, it's so much. You're getting a combination. It just depends on what license you're going for. It's how many hours you have to take. It's what that will cost. And I have not seen that cost yet. No, I haven't.
And this will be strictly exactly like the federal government is requiring.
That is
Nothing
correct.
More. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
I have one more, House Bill 210,
All
number
right,
8.
210, go ahead.
Okay, and this is also a Department of Revenue bill, and it is also a federal requirement, and it's based on the number of years you have to write the odometer reading when you sell a car on the title, when you're transferring it. Basically on line 35 and 36 is the only change. The lines above that shows as new wording, but they were struck earlier and just reinserted here. But lines 35 and 36, any car manufactured after 2011 has to be kept for 20 years.
Okay, well, we got a question. Who's number 5 down there? Okay, Whip Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Corbett, I guess my question is why is the change necessary?
It was requested by the department to be in compliance with a federal rule that's coming down to get Georgia's law in compliance with a federal rule that is kept for 20 years.
Okay. If you will you just have the department come talk to me about it so I understand it?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. Well, see no more questions. Thank you, sir. Representative Carpenter. When you walk into this room, be respectful.
Yes, sir. I sure appreciate you having me. I felt like I was invited to the prom when I got the message to be here today.
Well, you'll never make a prom.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Chairman Smith.
You can kiss the proms goodbye. I mean,
I'm a good dancer. I'm a good dancer.
yeah, where's my corsage if you're going to go
Well, I
to the
left
prom?
it out in the hall. I got to do that behind in the dark alleys, not in front of everybody. You understand?
Okay, go ahead.
House Bill 212, simple bill, basically clarifies some gray language in the law. that concerned a lot of parents across Georgia in regards to the issuance of do not resuscitate orders. I think we've heard this in rules before. It's passed the Senate a couple of times. It's called Simon's Law. And basically it just says that they may only issue these orders if consented to by the parent, either written or orally.
Okay. Any questions? Seeing none. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chairman. Y'all have a good day, guys.
Okay, Representative Gambill is next. Floor is yours, Representative.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. House Bill 241, I want to say on the onset, does not affect property insurance or auto insurance. The caption to the bill is a little bit misleading, but what this bill does is it deals with service contracts. And these are contracts that you can purchase, or you might refer to them as supplemental warranties. These are optional products. No one is required by law to purchase these. But an example would be you can purchase one of these after you buy a car to cover things that are not covered already by your auto policy. And all this bill does is it will allow us to go from expressly prohibiting to expressly allowing the mechanism for how these companies collect the difference between premiums and claims that are filed. Right now, it defaults to a short rate that's determined by the Department of Insurance. Under this, it would be a pro rata share. And this is good for the consumer because it better defines the terms for how these policies are structured. And it's also good for the companies because it protects them against fraud, because there are some scenarios where you can purchase these after your car has already received a lot of damage, the company does not know, and then you can file a claim, have the claim paid, and then turn around and cancel the policy. So that's all this bill does, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, you got a couple. Chairman Hatchett.
Yes, sir. Representative Gambill, is there any way you can include in this bill that after they call you one time, they can't call you again?
So that's a good question. I support that, but as just a clarification, those calls are coming to you on your manufacturer's warranties and not these products. So that's not the industry we're dealing with, but I do agree with what you're saying.
You mean one call, that's all? Okay. Chairman Martin.
Mr. Chairman, it's not true. I was going to ask the same thing. There's so many people in this country that are concerned about my car's warranty. I was just wondering if this gentleman would take. I do appreciate their concern for my Kia. It was made in Georgia, but it's doing fine. Isn't that true?
Yeah, I think so. Okay. You get them from cars that you haven't owned in 10 years. Okay. Is that all? That's it, Mr. Campbell.
Thank you.
All right, Representative Rich is next. House Bill 287. The floor is yours, Chairman.
All right. Good morning. Thank you. I am bringing House Bill 287 here today. This is the very last one under the modified structure rule, LC 490368. This is a continuation of my efforts to protect our youth from the dangers of vaping. Our current education code requires or provides for drug and alcohol education in the K-12 schools, and this just adds tobacco and vape to that curriculum that already exists. The state will provide the curriculum to the individual school boards, and then they are at liberty to modify it as is best for their particular communities. So I would just ask for your favorable consideration.
Do I have any questions? Seeing none. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Williamson, I think you've got a couple of bills on the calendar.
Am I on?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Here today to ask for House Bill 90. It's simply a bill that clarifies that harvested timber, which is severed from the stump, is covered as a business personal property, and it'd be covered by the Uniform Commercial Code as far as title purposes go. It comes with the full support of the Georgia Bankers Association and at the request of the Georgia Forestry Association. Be happy to answer any questions.
See no questions. Okay.
I'll follow up, I'm here also.
111, yeah, go ahead and do 111.
Yes, sir. House Bill 111 is the annual Department of Banking and Finance's housekeeping bill. Clarifies terms in the code, addresses some issues related to the pandemic as far as virtual and remote meetings, and extends some, allows some flexibility for loans to be paid back through our installment lenders that is now covered by the by the Department of Banking and Finance. It gives some flexibility for people that are getting behind due to the pandemic.
Okay. See no questions. Thank you. Ms. Lewis, would you get Mr. Meeks in, please? I'm sorry about that. He was sitting out there before I got here. I think he's the first one here today.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I appreciate the opportunity to bring before you today House Bill 282, which is at the bottom of the sheet under under structured rule. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, House Bill 282 is a legislative intent bill. In 2018, the former chairman of this committee, late Jay Powell, authored House Bill 85, which was the enabling legislation for House Resolution 51, which was a constitutional amendment creating the qualified timberland property subclassification for the purposes of ad valorem tax. What we're doing here is clarifying for the department the definition of contiguous to make sure that at the end of the day, if you own a piece of property that's divided by a county road, railroad track, or another natural boundary, common ownership on both sides of that boundary, it is considered contiguous. Second thing we do in this piece of legislation, Mr. Chairman, is we confirm for the department the 65-35 income market approach valuation and income and market approach valuation, which was the recommendation of the Warnell School of Forestry at University of Georgia, which is the same structure that is under the CUVA and FLIPA programs, which you may be more familiar with. And the third thing, Mr. Chairman, this piece of legislation does is it codifies for the commissioner that they shall accept a county map drawn by the county cartographer or a GIS technician and signed by both the Board of Assessors and the qualified landowner, identifying the tract of property that is to be enrolled in the qualified timberland property subclassification evaluation program.
Okay. See no questions. Oh, hold on a second. Chairman Fleming.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative, you mentioned this is going to affect CUVA. Can you go over that one more time? I want to make sure I'm trying to understand that.
It does not affect CUVA at all. This is a separate classification from CUVA and FLIPA. What we're doing is making sure that the valuation part of it is the same as the other two programs.
So the new program, I understand CUVA and how we're trying to save timberland and make that work. How does this new program affect that same process of trying to help the timber industry?
Okay, what we're doing is modifying the original passed language in more or less legislative intent. We're not changing CUVA or FLIP at all. What we're doing is making sure that this program has the same valuation as CUVA and FLIPA. We're not changing it at all. This is a one-year program. They're enrolled every year versus a long-term commitment for the other programs.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Leader Burns.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to chime in on that. Representative Meeks was ready to go. Prior to 7 this morning, his truck, I think, was sitting in his parking deck, cranked up and running, warming up, ready to get here so he could present this bill. So he was, and maybe he left it all night, I'm not sure, but it was running this morning.
So he may have spent the night here, huh?
Remote start, yeah, but he's ready.
Yeah, he was sitting out there by himself for a while. So, okay, thank you, sir. Have a great day. All right, we've got one more presentation. Representative Hawkins, are you here? Oh, there you are. Go ahead. House Bill 234. Push your button.
Got it? Am I on? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, last year Georgia passed one of the most comprehensive surprise billing pieces of legislation in the nation. Unfortunately, the ERISA Act prohibits our insurance commissioner in this state from interceding any legislation we pass on health care insurance. Although, at the present time, states that have a comprehensive surprise billing law are not prohibited from allowing such health care plans from voluntarily agreeing to comply to the Surprise Billing Act. That's what this bill does. This bill will make a difference to those that we left behind, those insured, which are approximately 60 to 70% of the Georgians.
So what it does, it just allows ERISA plans to opt in.
Yes, sir. It's voluntary.
Right.
Yeah.
Just gives them the option
It's
to
an
opt in.
opt-in.
Right.
That's right.
Okay. Any questions from anyone? Seeing none. Thank you, sir. All right. Well, we go ahead and set the calendar for tomorrow, Wednesday, day 18. Okay. House Bill 282. Do I hear a motion? Move. I hear a second. Well, all in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign. It's on. House Bill 287. Okay, I hear a move and a second. All in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign. Okay, House Bill 154. Got a move and a second. Do I hear all in favor say aye? All opposed, like sign. Okay, House Bill 130. I hear a move. Okay, got a move and a second. All in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign. It's on. House Bill 90. Got a move and a second. All in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign. It's on. So what we've got for tomorrow, day 18, is House Bill 90, House Bill 130, House Bill 154, House Bill 287, and House Bill 282. Thank you all, and y'all have a great day, and see y'all tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock.